Face, do a big funny face for me. That's it.
It was 2006 and Carly was doing well at school, was close to her mum and had just fallen in love with a boy she met online.
She was quite giddy, as a normal teenager would be, and she said, I think this boy really likes me, Mum, I really like him.
But the person on the other end wasn't the young musician from Melbourne he claimed to be.
The real person was Gary Francis Newman, a 50-year-old pedophile and predator who was operating over 200 fake profiles online to lure young girls.
Over 18 months, Newman and his son worked together to gain Carly's trust, eventually convincing her to meet them an hour away from her home in Adelaide.
Well, apparently they tried to rape her and she resisted. There were signs of resistance at the crime scene, and then proceeded to bash her and murder her.
Do you remember the last time you spoke to Carly?
She was leaving on that day to go and meet her friends, as I thought, and she did her hair and she put on a pretty dress. She looked gorgeous. I think we had about 4 hugs at the door. And the last thing I said to her was, I love you, darling, be safe. And she said, love you, and just skipped off the veranda, so carefree and happy. And I could have never have imagined that would be the last time I would see my daughter alive.
Carly Ryan was the first girl to be murdered by an online predator anywhere in the world.
I can't even begin to imagine what it must be like to identify your child's body.
The worst experience of my life, and to see what they did to her physically and to see the trauma in her body was something that will stay with me forever.
We need to myth bust that it is the old man in the trench coat in the corner online, because that's just not true.
In February 2020, the AFP and its Centre for Countering Child Exploitation launched Operation Arkstone, a large-scale investigation into pedophile networks that led to the arrest of more than 20 offenders on more than 1,000 charges.
The really concerning part about that operation is that these offenders were using the ClearNet, and they were quite openly discussing what they wanted to do to children they could access.
As opposed to the dark web or dark net, the ClearNet is publicly accessible. You and I use it on a daily basis. Facebook, Instagram, Google, online forums and websites. And our children use it too.
Some of the cases have been extremely heinous, and one thing that I would say is you never forget the first time you have to look at either an image or a video of a young child or toddler being sexually abused and hearing their cries. To me, as a police officer and a mum, it doesn't get any worse than that.
Sonia Ryan spends her life campaigning for legislative change.
Have open, honest communication with your kids. Make sure they know there is nothing that is so bad that they cannot come to you about it.
2017 saw a huge win for Sonia when Carlys Law was introduced, making it illegal for any adult who communicates with a child to lie about their age or identity and meet or arrange to meet with a child, the first law of its kind anywhere in the world.
I mean, losing my daughter was by far the worst thing that has ever happened to me. And it gives me a great sense of honour to be able to do this on her behalf in her name. Gosh, I just think of her every single time I get a call from law enforcement or an email saying we have rescued a child with using Carlys Law.
But the fight is far from over for Sonia. Now she wants a crackdown on social media platforms.
To be quite frank, enough is enough. It's time for them to absolutely step up and address this. I mean, it is their duty to look after their young users on their platforms.
Why do you think they don't have a conscience, these social media giants?
I believe that their focus is profit and privacy. But the reality is, if they wanted to eradicate child exploitation off their platforms, they could do it overnight.